After his close friend, Sarah Davis, got pregnant, I had a quick marriage. At the courthouse, Robert Smith's close friend sent an ultrasound report. He didn't hesitate to abandon me, bringing her home to rest during her pregnancy. Soon after, she posted intimate photos of the two of them, with our bedroom as the background. Immediately after, Robert Smith sent me a message. I had too much to drink at the work party that night, and Sarah is pregnant. I need to be there for her constantly. She originally planned to hide it from me and raise the child alone, but she's still so young and is going to be a top heart surgeon in the country. I can't ruin her life, nor can I abandon this innocent life. Didn't you want to have a child soon? After she gives birth, I'll send her to study abroad, and you can raise the child. They will only know you as their mother. Seeing I didn't reply, he added, getting married, maybe we'll have to rearrange things after Sarah gives birth. I stared at my phone screen, my eyes red-rimmed with laughter. Did he think the only daughter of the Miller family from Havenwood was indispensable to him? I dialed David Jones's number directly. Getting married. Coming? After getting married, David Jones grumbled all the way to the airport. He had been waiting at the airport, about to fly to Italy for a business meeting, but I'd dragged him to the courthouse with a single call. Thinking of the way he was grinding his teeth just now, I couldn't help but feel a little guilty. Catherine, did I owe you in a past life? I've chased you for 8 years and you wouldn't even give me the time of day, and now you just say get married and we get married? I glanced at the clock. It's almost closing time. Are you going to get married or not? He instantly deflated. I'm getting married. Brought my IDs, rescheduled my flight, my parents know too. Might as well get it done. Presumably because I hadn't responded, Robert Smith's call finally came through. His voice held a hint of urgency. Catherine, don't overthink this. You're the only one in my heart. For Sarah, it's just simple admiration. That night really was just an accident. I understand. My voice was calm, without a ripple. Men will be men, I guess. Silence on the other end for several seconds. I heard him take a deep breath. Where are you now? I'll send a driver to pick you up. Sarah is having some morning sickness, I really can't leave. I cut him off. No need. His voice suddenly turned cold. Catherine, are you throwing a tantrum? I've already explained everything clearly. Sarah will leave after she gives birth. What more do you want from me? My chest felt tight. I unconsciously tightened my grip on the marriage certificate in my hand, trying hard to keep my voice steady. Robert Smith, let's break up. He froze for a moment, then let out a self-mocking cold laugh. Haven't you realized how I've treated you all these years? Yes, I made a mistake, but what man doesn't make mistakes? I'm already making amends. Do you have to be so aggressive? I pressed my lips together, saying nothing. Seeing my continued silence, his patience finally ran out. Fine. Have it your way. If you want to break up, let's break up. You'll be crying and coming back to me within half an hour. The call was roughly cut off, leaving only a dial tone in my ear. I hailed a cab and returned to the home that had once been ours. I wasn't going back for him, but to simply pack my things and leave. When I pushed open the door, Robert Smith was wearing an apron, and the dining table was covered with carefully prepared dishes. He and Sarah Davis sat across from each other, eating and laughing. He gently served her food, even carefully feeding it to her mouth. I had naively believed that such tender expressions belonged only to me. I remembered every time I cooked for him, he would hug me from behind and whisper in my ear. My poor baby worked so hard. It seemed affectionate, but in 5 years, he had never even poured me a glass of hot water. He was the youngest professor of cardiothoracic surgery at the country's top medical school. He always said, these hands are for surgery. I have to protect them at all times. Even holding my hand, he was cautious. But now, he had made an exception to cook for Sarah Davis. Robert Smith saw me and sneered, putting on an I knew it expression. Sarah Davis greeted me warmly. Catherine, you're back. Want to join us for dinner? I silently walked past her and headed straight for the bedroom. Stop! Robert Smith suddenly stood up, his face terribly dark. Sarah is talking to you. Please respond. Do you have no basic manners? I slowly turned around, forcing a cold smile. How do you want me to respond? Thank her for eagerly carrying my fiancé's child, letting me become a mother without the pain? Or should I rush over and slap her a few times, calling her a cheap mistress and telling her to get out of my house? You. Robert Smith was choked, his veins bulging. Ugh. Sarah Davis suddenly covered her mouth and gagged, tears instantly welling up. Robert Smith asked in a panic, Sarah, what's wrong? Are you feeling sick? Robert, I'm fine. She trembled as she clutched Robert Smith's sleeve, but she was crying at me. Catherine, it's all my fault. I didn't want to stay at your house, but I really had nowhere else to go. I'll leave as soon as the baby is born, and I'll never bother you and Robert again. Saying this, she suddenly touched her abdomen and sobbed, I'm sorry, baby. Mommy didn't want to abandon you, but Mommy did something bad, so I must accept the punishment, woo woo woo. I'm sorry. With that, she started retching violently again, collapsing into Robert Smith's arms. Robert Smith looked at me with utter disgust, as if I had committed some heinous crime. Are you happy now? I scoffed and turned to leave. My attitude completely enraged Robert Smith. He violently grabbed the glass from the table and threw it hard at me. A sharp pain shot through the back of my head, accompanied by the sound of shattering glass, and I fell heavily onto the stairs. The intense pain made me break out in a cold sweat instantly. For a moment, I couldn't even stand up. What are you faking? Get up! Robert Smith barked impatiently from behind me. Sarah Davis came over, feigning concern. Catherine, you should be okay, right? I think the glass just lightly grazed your shoulder. Shut up! I gritted my teeth and cut her off, forcing myself to stand up. Seeing my hostile attitude towards Sarah Davis, Robert Smith's eyes turned ice cold. Sarah doesn't have an appetite. Go make her your best fish and tofu soup. Remember not to put in any green onions, she doesn't like them. I won't. I refused without hesitation. That's an order. Robert Smith's face was terrifyingly grim. Catherine, do you think you have a choice? I clenched my fists and looked him directly in the eye. I just won't. What are you going to do about it? A cold glint flashed in Robert Smith's eyes. He strode forward, roughly grabbed my arm, and shoved me violently into the kitchen. Bang! The door was slammed shut. Don't even think about coming out until the soup is ready. Robert Smith, you're crazy. I pounded on the door, screaming hoarsely, let me out, but only silence answered. My hands were red and burning from hitting the door. Finally, I slid weakly to the floor, leaning against the cold wood. Through the door, their conversation came through clearly. Sarah Davis said softly, Robert, isn't that too harsh on Catherine? If she doesn't want to make it, she doesn't have to. It's okay if I don't have soup. Robert Smith sighed, Sarah, she's just been spoiled by the Miller family for so many years. I have to fix that spoiled attitude of hers. Since she'll be marrying the Smith family later, she has to follow the Smith family rules. Otherwise, how can she raise our child properly? The Smith family is a medical family, and we've always valued getting along with people, but her personality is too blunt. My mother has never really liked her. Sarah Davis asked, puzzled, Robert, why don't you just break up with her? It suddenly went quiet outside. I held my breath, motionless against the door. Yes, if I was so unbearable in his eyes, why did he tolerate me? The silence lasted a long time. Sarah Davis prompted cautiously, Robert? Robert Smith's calm voice pierced my heart like a knife. The Miller family's background in Havenwood is second to none. It's helped my career a lot over the years. I clutched my chest tightly. Tears I could no longer control streamed down. So that was it. All these years, he had only been interested in the Miller family, never me. In a daze, I remembered the year my grandfather had a sudden heart attack, and it was Robert Smith's bold surgical plan that saved his life. I fell in love with this young, promising, and skilled doctor at first sight. I only sent a banner to express my gratitude, but I didn't expect him to start pursuing me so aggressively. He never actively asked for help from the Miller family. Those covert operations were all arranged by me, behind his back. How ridiculous. I had always been worried that he would refuse to accept it if he found out. The kitchen door was pushed open. Robert Smith was clearly startled when he saw me, then frowned. "You can cry like this just making soup? Get out! You're annoying to look at." I forced myself to stand up, fighting the dizziness, and stumbled towards the bedroom. The moment I opened the door, a chill ran down my spine. The bedding had been changed to the pink lace I detested. My photo on the nightstand was replaced by a photo of a baby. In the closet, not a single one of my clothes remained. Robert Smith's voice came from behind me. "The guest room is too small. Sarah is heavily pregnant and it's not convenient for her. She needs to stay in the master bedroom now." Sarah Davis added timidly, "Catherine, you won't mind, will you?" "Don't worry, I'll leave as soon as the baby is born." "Oh." I cut her off directly. "Where are my things?" Robert Smith looked away. "I had the housekeeper move them to the storage room. The closest guest room will be converted into a baby room. You can choose any other guest room to stay in." I was silent for a moment, then nodded, "Okay." In the storage room, my designer dresses were carelessly thrown on the floor, and my jewelry was scattered in a dirty corner, like unwanted trash. I took a deep breath and sneered at Sarah Davis, who had followed me in, so impatient. Couldn't even wait for me to leave? A flicker of embarrassment crossed her face, then she put on an innocent expression. "Catherine, what are you talking about? Robert had the housekeeper pack these up." "I didn't do anything." I pointed at the shoe print on the dress, smiling coldly. "Did the housekeeper do this too?" "What if I did?" She suddenly lowered her voice, a vicious glint in her eyes, but then feigned fear and backed away. "Catherine, please let me go." With that, she suddenly shrieked and pretended to fall backward. Robert Smith rushed in and caught her just in time. Sarah Davis immediately covered her abdomen and sobbed, "Robert, I didn't do anything. Why did Catherine push me? Thank goodness you came, otherwise the baby." "I didn't push her." My throat tightened, and I instinctively tried to explain. Robert Smith's eyes blazed with fury. He grabbed my neck and slammed me against the wall. "Do you think I'll believe that? Sarah would frame you with the baby? When did you become so vicious?" His grip was incredibly strong. I could barely breathe, struggling to force out a few words. "I really didn't." "Enough. I don't want to hear you are excuses." He laughed in anger and shoved me hard onto the floor. "Get back to the Miller residence and be your spoiled rich girl. Come back and see me when you realize your mistake." I stumbled to my feet, looking at him in disbelief. At 11 o'clock at night, he was kicking me out? I remembered how before, even if I just went out for a walk late at night, he would insist on accompanying me. But now, his chin was raised, and he grudged me even a glance. My nose suddenly stung. How many times had he lost his temper with me today, all for Sarah Davis? No matter what I said or did, it was wrong in his eyes. And today was supposed to be the day we got married. I closed my eyes, didn't even bother to grab clothes, and fled this suffocating place without looking back. As soon as I got back to the Miller residence, my phone vibrated. It was a video from Sarah Davis. I knew I shouldn't open it, but my fingers uncontrollably pressed play. In the video, Robert Smith was gently holding Sarah Davis, kissing her forehead with his eyes closed, his face full of enjoyment and tenderness. His voice held a hint of regret. "Sarah, if I had met you sooner, I wouldn't have been with Catherine. You're so talented in medicine, pure and driven. And her? Abusing the Miller family's background, doing nothing productive all day. The Smith family has been in medicine for generations. If I really married her, our reputation would be ruined sooner or later." Every word was like a poison needle, piercing the most vulnerable parts of me. Sarah Davis, relying on her family's connections in the medical field, easily became his protégé and was recognized as his close friend. That's what he called talented. And me? I gave up family resources, started from the bottom, and climbed step by step to become the investment director of Miller Corporation. In his eyes, I was not serious about my career. So it turned out he had always thought I was useless. How could he have ever truly loved me? I put down my phone, tears soaking my pillow. I tossed and turned all night. Just as dawn was breaking, David Jones's call came in. "Hey, wife, sleep well?" His voice was filled with poorly concealed excitement. I just landed in Milan. I was so excited on the plane for over 10 hours, I couldn't sleep at all. "I still can't believe you actually married me." His tone suddenly softened. "Wife, I'm already starting to miss you." "Do you miss me, wife?" That address jolted me awake instantly. Only then did I remember that in a fit of anger yesterday, I had married David Jones at the courthouse. "Wife, why aren't you talking? Are you regretting it?" His voice was full of 10,000 points of grievance. "No," I replied softly. "David Jones and I grew up together. Although I wasn't sure if he truly loved me, at least I knew him well. The Jones family was from a matching background, certainly a suitable marriage partner." The other end of the phone clearly let out a sigh of relief and bounced back to life. "I'll be back tomorrow. We'll go pick out wedding rings." Even though we got married quickly, the proposal, the wedding, none of those ceremonies will be skipped. You just need to relax and be the most beautiful bride. Leave everything else to me. I couldn't help but let out a light laugh and agreed to his arrangements. That was David Jones. By his side, he would arrange everything. I only ever needed to follow. And Robert Smith. In my memory, he was always a hurried figure. Even getting married was something I had brought up first. He had frowned then and said, "Only 5 years? Isn't it too early to get married?" The difference between love and not love was so clear. The entire day, Robert Smith was silent. His mother, however, couldn't wait to call, her tone full of condescending superiority. "You know about Robert and Sarah, right? Sarah is carrying our Smith family's eldest grandson now. We will absolutely wrong her and will make sure Robert marries her. It's a good thing Robert didn't marry you yesterday, it was fate. I told you long ago that you two weren't suitable. The Miller family has been in business for 3 generations, while the Smith family has been in medicine for generations. The family backgrounds simply aren't compatible, don't you agree?" I scoffed. "Mrs. Smith, Robert Smith and I have broken up. From now on, please don't contact me unless it's important." The other end of the phone was clearly startled, probably not expecting me, who had always been docile, to reply like that. She was about to explode, but I decisively hung up. She immediately called several more times. I didn't hesitate to blacklist her and then blocked all of Robert Smith's contact information as well. I deleted all photos of him, and 5 years of affection dissipated with them. The next day, while I was choosing a wedding ring at a jewelry store, I unexpectedly ran into Robert Smith and Sarah Davis. He was excitedly customizing an expensive set of jewelry for Sarah Davis and also ordered an expensive baby jewelry for the unborn child. Seeing me trying on rings, Robert Smith's face instantly darkened. "Catherine, I told you to go home and reflect. Instead, you're running around buying wedding rings? Do you think I'd still marry you with that attitude?" He roughly grabbed my hand and forcefully took the ring off, handing it back to the salesperson. "We're not buying the ring, thank you." The edge of the diamond cut my finger, and blood immediately welled up. The salesperson rushed to treat my wound, but Robert Smith stopped her coldly. "It's just a small cut. No need to bother." I ignored him. Wiping away the blood, I told the salesperson, "Please give me that ring." Robert Smith grabbed my wrist, roaring, "Wasn't I clear enough? You're not buying a ring today." The surrounding customers started whispering, "That pregnant woman must be his wife, right? His mistress is quite brazen, openly coming to choose a wedding ring. Shameless, being the other woman and still wanting legitimacy. Look, her man is yelling at her." Seeing the situation, Sarah Davis pretended to mediate. "Catherine, stop making a scene. So many people are watching, I feel embarrassed. How about I give you the ring Robert just bought for me? See if you like it?" The salesperson also advised, "Ma'am, maybe you shouldn't buy today. With you making a scene like this, we can't do business." Robert Smith's grip tightened. It looked like he was about to forcibly drag me away. I struggled free. "Robert Smith, What does me buying a wedding ring have to do with you? Please mind your own business. None of my business? Fine. I formally announce the cancellation of our engagement. You'll never have to buy a wedding ring. With that, he shoved me hard. Just as I stumbled and was about to fall, a pair of hands steadied me. David Jones's voice sounded in my ear, "Wife, I'm late." Wife. Robert Smith stared fixedly at the hand David Jones used to support me, his voice suddenly rising. "Catherine, you'd better explain what's going on here." I replied impatiently, "Is there a need to explain? We've already broken up, remember?" Robert Smith's face instantly turned ugly, then he sneered, "Break up? Did I agree to that? Even if we did break up, you couldn't wait even a day to find some random guy? Catherine, are you that desperate? Is our 5-year relationship so insignificant in your eyes?" Sarah Davis gasped dramatically nearby, "Oh my. Catherine, even if you're upset with Robert, you don't need to be so reckless, do you? Aren't you making a spectacle of yourself? They were the ones who cheated first, and now somehow it was my fault. In a public place, I didn't want to make a bigger scene." I was about to pull David Jones away. But Sarah Davis clearly didn't intend to miss this opportunity. She blocked our path and deliberately raised her voice. "I know the Miller family's only daughter is rich and powerful and doesn't lack for men around her. But Robert loved you so much. Did you deserve him? You unilaterally said you were breaking up, but Robert didn't agree. Now, I want you to apologize to him." Robert Smith was also staring at me, as if waiting for me to give him an explanation. The surrounding crowd gradually gathered, pointing and whispering about David Jones and me, as if we were a pair of adulterers. My hands trembled uncontrollably. I clenched my sleeves tightly. David Jones sensed my unease and comforted me softly, "Don't be afraid." Young Mr. Jones was not known for his good temper. I had been signaling him with my eyes to hold back until now. Seeing me like this, he could no longer contain his anger. He strode forward and punched Robert Smith hard in the face. Robert Smith was caught off guard and fell heavily to the ground. "Robert!" Sarah Davis shrieked and rushed over, crying hysterically. "Catherine, we just said a few things to you. How could you let your boyfriend hit someone?" Robert Smith licked the blood from the corner of his mouth, about to get up and fight back, but David Jones kicked him down again. He pulled the marriage certificate from his pocket and shoved it directly in front of Robert Smith's face. "See clearly? Catherine and I are legally married. If you dare to insult us with your filthy mouth again, you'll be hearing from our lawyers." Robert Smith froze for a moment, then reached out to grab the marriage certificate. David Jones quickly pulled it back, sneering, "What? Dr. Smith doesn't even recognize a marriage certificate? You can buy documents like this online anywhere. Do you think I'll believe that?" With that, Robert Smith looked at me and said sternly, "Catherine, get over here now. Do you have to make a fool of yourself with him?" Just then, Sarah Davis suddenly clutched her abdomen and shrieked, "It hurts so much. Baby. Don't scare mommy. Here we go again." Robert Smith scoffed, covered his ears, and stood up. Under the shocked gaze of everyone, he slammed the door and left without looking back. The most important thing now was to find Catherine quickly. David Jones's schedule was planned down to the minute. As soon as we finished choosing the wedding rings, he immediately rushed me to the wedding dress shop. I collapsed onto a velvet sofa and groaned, "David, it's already dark. Can't we try tomorrow?" He unbuttoned his suit jacket with one hand and raised an eyebrow. "No. I'm afraid of complications delaying things." I smiled helplessly. Do I seem that unreliable? We're already married at the courthouse. I still don't give you a sense of security? He nodded solemnly, "Yes." I picked up a cushion and threw it at him. He caught it steadily and used the momentum to pull me up. "Don't think about escaping. Go try it on." When the curtain was slowly pulled back by the sales associate, silence fell outside the fitting room. I walked out in an European vintage wedding dress and saw David Jones standing rooted to the spot, his Adam's apple bobbing violently. He walked closer, his voice husky, and gently hugged me. 2 years ago at the Sotheby's auction, when I bought this wedding dress, I was already thinking about how beautiful you would look wearing it. The sales associates giggled, and I quickly buried my burning face in his chest. Just then, the glass door was violently pushed open. "Let her go!" Robert Smith rushed in, his face full of fury, reaching out to grab me. I recoiled in disgust. Robert Smith's hand missed, a look of pain flashing in his eyes. "Catherine, there's a limit to throwing a tantrum. Exposing the video, blocking me, even getting a fake marriage. You've gone too far with everything, but I can overlook all of it." He pointed at David Jones, his voice hoarse. "I defended you in front of everyone, resisting pressure to refuse to mar. Why Sarah Davis, and you're here trying on wedding dresses? Have you considered my feelings at all?" I stared at him coldly. "Robert Smith, I'll say it again. I'm not throwing a tantrum. David Jones and I really got married at the courthouse on the very day you were supposed to marry me. The moment you didn't hesitate to abandon me and go find Sarah Davis, we were over." He shook his head, stumbling back half a step. "Just because I left you that day, you immediately married another man?" I suddenly laughed. "You let a pregnant Sarah Davis live in our home and even wanted me to raise her child. Put yourself in my shoes. If I were pregnant with someone else's child and wanted you to be the father, would you agree?" His face instantly turned pale. He quickly argued, "Catherine, this isn't the same. Don't twist my words. Sarah and I were an accident, and the child is innocent. Regardless, you're the one who's always been in my heart. Can't you compromise for the sake of our years together?" I replied decisively, "Not one step. Didn't you always say I had a spoiled attitude? Now you get what you wanted. Please leave. Don't appear in front of me again." My words seemed to sting him. He used to hate it the most when I said spoiled attitude, but now I was admitting it myself. Robert Smith's eyes suddenly turned red. Just as I turned to leave, he suddenly knelt down and grabbed the hem of my wedding dress. "Catherine, I was wrong. I swear I'll cut ties with Sarah Davis. I don't want that child either." He urged impatiently, "Go divorce him right now. We'll go get married immediately. Right now." Robert Smith's words left me speechless. I was actually angered by his shameless declaration. David Jones, who had been standing silently behind me, finally couldn't take it anymore. He blacked out his face, gently pushed me into the fitting room, and said in a low voice, "Stay inside. Don't come out." I nodded obediently and saw David Jones adjusting his tie. Rough the gap in the curtain. I couldn't help but worry for Robert Smith. Outside, David Jones sneered, "Robert Smith, do you think I'm easy to deal with? Telling my wife to divorce me right in front of my face?" Robert Smith stood up, his face dark. "You just took advantage of Catherine throwing a tantrum with me. What's there to be proud of?" David Jones's voice suddenly became sharp. 8 years. I waited for her for 8 years. Taking advantage is also a skill. And you? She sacrificed so much for you. The once fearless Miller family's only daughter, she had to be careful even breathing around your mother. She never had to lift a finger at the Miller residence, yet she learned to cook 200 dishes for you. She even washed your shirts by hand. And how did you repay her? You brought your mistress home and kicked her out. I sighed unconsciously. So that's how others saw it, how humble I was in front of Robert Smith. David Jones became more and more agitated. He took a deep breath. "She gave so much for you, and this is the result? She deserves better." Robert Smith was stunned. "She told you all this? She even told you her private matters? Were you two secretly involved long ago?" Filthy. David Jones picked up the ashtray from the table and threw it. Blood immediately streamed from Robert Smith's forehead. His eyes turned fierce, and he swung a punch at David Jones. Seeing the two were about to fight, I violently pushed open the fitting room door and stood in front of David Jones. "Robert Smith," I said coldly, "please leave immediately." Robert Smith stared at me, his eyes full of disbelief. "Catherine, you're protecting him?" Blood kept flowing from the wound on his forehead, dripping down his cheek, mixing with tears. His handsome face was now swollen and twisted. His white shirt was stained with blood and dirt. There was no trace of his usual gentlemanly appearance. I frowned and looked away, not wanting to see him anymore. He suddenly forced out a smile uglier than a cry, and stumbled to turn and leave. Just then, a warm hand suddenly covered my eyes. David Jones's deep voice sounded in my ear, "Wife, don't look at him anymore." I froze for a moment, then sighed helplessly. This man, so decisive in the business world, could also have such childish possessiveness. It seemed the sense of security I gave him was indeed still far from enough. The scandal involving Robert Smith and Sarah Davis continued to escalate online, with developments far exceeding my expectations. As netizens dug deeper, more shocking details were exposed. It turned out that Sarah Davis had spiked Robert Smith's drink that night. Robert Smith had been kept in the dark, believing it was just a drunken mistake. Even more astonishing, Sarah Davis had simultaneously recognized 8 close friends, dry brothers, and Robert Smith was merely the one with the best circumstances. Even when she wasn't sure who the child's father was, she decisively chose Robert Smith to be the fall guy. The Smith family's century-old reputation as a medical family was ruined, earning them the nickname the cuckolded family among netizens. Facing the overwhelming ridicule, Robert Smith finally broke down. He called me from a new number. As soon as I recognized his voice, I hung up. Then I received a text message from him, "Catherine, I'm sorry. I won't bother you again." I deleted it immediately, not wanting any further connection. Later, I learned that he had swallowed a large amount of sleeping pills that day in a suicide attempt. Although he was rescued, he developed severe anxiety and depression. At his worst, he couldn't even take care of himself. Meanwhile, another one of Sarah Davis's close friends, an elite in the finance industry, was fired from his company and blacklisted from the industry because of the incident. His wife also left him. He hated Sarah Davis. While she was at the hospital for a prenatal check he attacked her with a knife. When she was found, Sarah Davis had already collapsed in a pool of blood. Ultimately, the baby couldn't be saved, and Sarah Davis permanently lost the ability to have children. After reading the news, I looked meaningfully at David Jones, who was sipping coffee across from me. "See? That's what happens when you cheat." Pfft, he spat out a mouthful of coffee, fumbling to wipe his mouth. "Don't worry, wife, I'm absolutely loyal.